Welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode 412. Today is the 5th of October. This is our first October Hump Day Hangouts of 2022. Looking forward to it. Although I got to admit, I'm also looking forward to the end of the month, maybe a little Halloween, a little trick or treat. We'll see what's going on. But before we jump into things, we got a couple quick announcements for everybody, and wanted to say hello to the guys. So going to start out with Chris. Chris, how you doing today?
Good, super excited to be here as usual. Super busy. Not sure what to say else. Other than excited as usual. Pumped that work is getting done. We're making good progress, and always good.
Nice. Yeah, we were just had a short meeting about Local Fury and talking about that, some of the stuff we're working on, kind of the roadmap moving forward. So if you're watching and you haven't checked out Local Fury and you deal with local SEO, you deal with Google business profiles, you should definitely go check it out. Localfury.com. You can find out more there.
Not Local Furry.
Yes, not Local Furry. Do not use two R's, trust me. So you don't want that in your search history.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, search at your own risk.
So that's a good tie-in to you, Bradley. How are you doing today?
Peachy, man. I'm good. I'm busy as all hell. We've bit off a bit more than we can chew as usual. It's normal for us. But yeah, a lot of good stuff. As you mentioned, Local Fury. We're also launching white label SEO services, full service agency this month. We got a lot of interest in that already, so I'm pretty excited about that. But I'm taking off as soon as Hump Day Hangout's over today. I'm going off the grid. I'm going to keep my phone on while I'm traveling, but as soon as I get to my destination, I'm literally unplugging this son of a bitch. Nobody will be able to contact me for the next 3 days, and I like that. I'm excited. But when I come back next week, back at it. You know what I mean?
So, yeah. Well, good. I'm glad to hear. I'm curious. I should have asked you this outside the meeting, but I'm sure other people are interested too. You can be riding ATVs, or what are you doing?
You're damn right I am. Yeah, that's my favorite thing to do. And I've neglected that this entire year because I've worked this entire year, 12 days on, 2 days off. And the 2 days that I repeat that because I get my daughter every other weekend. And when I have her, it's her time. But other than that, I work 12 days in a row, and I've been working anywhere between, on the weekends, I might work 10 hours, but on the weekdays, like literally 12 to 13 hours every day. And I made a lot of progress. The business has grown considerably. I'm happy with all of that, but man, you just get burned out, and just a few days off can really change the trajectory of your business. Like seriously, just to kind of refocus, like it just puts everything in perspective a bit. And I haven't done that at all this year. So I'm way overdue, and I'm excited to take a few days off and just unplug completely. I don't want to think about work. None of that. And it's funny I say that, but those are actually the times when a lot of like insight it's almost like you have epiphanies, like an epiphany or whatever. Like all of a sudden you start to, I've always found when I go and I unplug and I say, I'm not going to think about work, that's when I have ideas that come to me about like how to grow the business and things like that, when I'm not actively thinking about it. And there's a book that I read recently called Action by, I can't remember his name anyway. It was a really good book, but he talks about, oftentimes like when we think about meditating and that kind of stuff, we are often pressure cooking the problems of the moment instead. And so it's very difficult to kind of zoom out and see the bigger picture when you're always focused in on like the here and now of like problems that you're experiencing today in your business. And I understand we have to overcome those challenges, but sometimes you just need that like distance from the business in order to have to see the bigger picture, if that makes sense. And taking off is, I think, critically important for that. So
100%. I think every time each one of us has taken some time off or gone on a trip, or you go to a conference, or even just sitting in the plane going somewhere, right? Just having that downtime. And like Jeremy talked to us at POFU Live, the reason he had, kind of this brainstorm or these ideas was because he had to spend August driving 13,000 miles back and forth moving. And just that gave him the clarity to think and not be, I got to do this or I got to go do that. He didn't have anything to do, and that let his brain kind of chew through that stuff. So yeah, I totally agree. Cool. Well, Bradley, you mentioned the full service agency. I didn't know if we were going to mention that or not. And that was another good one where, people have been bugging us for a while in a good way. I know Bradley gets asked a lot through the masterminds, hey, the training was great, or we really like this, or, we want to do that. can you do it for us? And a lot of times the answer was, yeah, no, I don't offer this, or we don't offer, that particular thing. So decided, that there's enough interest. We've been bugged enough about this that we want to provide this in a way that other people can take advantage of it and use it as resellers, by SEOs for SEOs. So excited to get this off the ground, and it's going to be very limited at first, but we will definitely be rolling that out to more people in the near future.
Yeah, it's funny, but because of my link building business, a lot of my link building clients ask me all the time, hey man, because I provide on-page recommendations as part of my reporting process on a monthly basis. I look at the project holistically, not just backlinks. And so I often will record a quick screencast video when I deliver the reports for the month. And I will say like, hey, here's some things that I found that I recommend, here are my recommendations for improving. Maybe there's missing entity assets, and I'll say, here's some gaps that need to be filled. You know what I mean? Or here's some on-page recommendations, whatever. Not always, but sometimes, when I find something that I feel like my client should be aware of, and then I make the recommendations. Anyways, so I've been making these recommendations for months, and various clients have come back to me and said like, hey, can you just, how much can I pay you to do this for me? And I always tell them, no, I'm not doing it. I give you I will consult, give you recommendations, but it's up to you to get it done or find somebody else to do it, because this is an off-page service. But eventually when people say like, we want to give you money, enough times you just say, okay, fine, I'll just do it. You know what I mean? And so, but I have not done that under semantic links. I've kept to my guns about saying, no, I won't do that, because that's not what this service is for. But that's why we're launching semantic SEO, because, there's a real demand for that. I've discovered there is a real demand for that. People want it. So like, fucking A, we're going to give it to them. So I'm really excited about that. And, as Adam just said, it's, we don't really have to do a lot of marketing for this or promotion of this, because we've already got enough interest of people on standby waiting for us to provide them the buy button that I really don't think we're going to need to do much of a push on this. So we'll let you guys know when it goes fully launched or fully live. It'll be another 2 to 3 weeks. It'll be this month. I promise. You have my word. I'm launching it this month. There's no question. You guys will be made aware of it if anybody's interested. But one last thing I want to talk about, and Chris is helping me with this. We're going to be offering kind of a unique position in the marketplace as far as white label SEO services, where one of the things that we're going to focus on heavily is branding for your clients. In other words, you bring your clients to us and we will do the Google, it's local SEO white label service. So it's focused primarily on local rankings, but we're going to have a very strong brand component of that, because it's just incredible how strong branding is working right now in SEO. And I just started doing search ads again for lead gen and I was just impromptu on Sunday. I worked again. I told you guys I worked 12 days on, 2 days off. So I worked this entire last weekend. And on Sunday, I went to go set up a Google Ads campaign for one of my tree clients who asked me to do it for him. And I just decided to start recording the whole process from start to finish. It was very impromptu. I was not planning on doing it, but I started planning on doing this, but I started recording that on Sunday. And I said, look, this is candid. This is not I don't have slides prepared, none of that. This is just like straight up guerrilla style. Like, here's me setting up campaigns. Like, it's not polished or nothing else. And I started recording all that on Monday. Anyway, the reason I'm telling you this is because I'm doing what's called a alpha beta campaign structure in Google Ads, which a beta campaign is what you call discovery ads. And it helps you to identify the keywords that generate the most traffic that converts. Ultimately, you want to make sure that it's converting traffic. Anyway, the long story short, with the beta campaigns, you have to be very vigilant for the first week or two or whatever, and go in every day and check the search query report to identify search queries that aren't relevant that triggered an impression. So you can start to build your negative keyword list. That's critically important with an alpha beta campaign structure. Every day you have to log in. I got $100 a day budget set for that. So every day I'm logging in and I clean and identify all the negative keywords that I want to add to the negative keyword list so that it does not trigger an impression for a non-relevant search query, if that makes sense. So through that discovery process and optimizing the beta campaign, which helps you to identify what they call alpha keywords, which then you peel those out of the beta campaign and stick them into a single keyword ad group in an alpha campaign. Anyway, that's way beyond what I meant to say. What I'm saying is, but looking at those discovery search queries, you start to see these over and over and over again that people search for company names plus reviews or just straight company name brand searches. And so the data just shows that we as Google users, not SEOs, but like the general population as Google users, they've been conditioned to like when they like, especially in the home services industries, and it's probably the same across all industries, but when they decide on, when they know they got a problem and they start shopping for a home service provider, a contractor, whatever, they go to Google and they might do a generic keyword search, tree removal near me. And they might decide, okay, here's 3 companies that I'm going to call for an estimate. But before they call, the majority of people, over half of them, will go to search, do a brand name search for those companies, each company individually before calling them, and either do a brand search or brand plus reviews, right? To see what are other people saying about, like, what's the reputation of this company. And so it's really important to make sure that you are, you know, that when somebody does a brand name search for your clients, what shows up? Right? What do you own the whole page? Do you have a knowledge panel popped? And do you own every single listing on the first page of Google for the brand search? And if not, that should be resolved, right? And so that's something that we're going to do as part of, and that's again, part of what we do at Local Fury is the first month that you have any Google business locations with us at Local Fury, we focus almost exclusively on brand signals. So we're going to incorporate that kind of a process into our SEO, white label SEO services, where again, not only will we focus on just traditional local SEO, but we're also going to have a real heavy lean on branding, because branding is working really. Google is rewarding strong brands right now. So we're going to make sure that our clients and our clients' clients, because our clients are local SEO consultants or agencies. So your clients will have strong branded presence. And one last thing about that, and then I promise I'll stop, is not only should, you know, any of our clients that come to us that, you know, I don't know what, we haven't decided this yet, but like that have us managing 5 locations for them or more, we'll do brand optimization for your agency included. Like it'll just be an add-on that we'll include at a certain level. Again, I haven't discussed with my partners yet. I don't know if it's going to be 5 locations or 10 or something, but there will be some threshold where if you submit that many locations to us to manage for you, then we'll do entity or brand SEO for your agency free of charge, if that makes sense, because that's important. You know, we talk about doing this for our clients, but what about your agency? If you go do a brand search for your agency right now, what shows up? And if it's not, if you don't own the entire damn front page and really the top 2 pages, there's problems there that you should be focusing on yours. And I get it, guys. You know, as SEO, I work on my clients' businesses more than I do my own. And I think most of us do in this business, right? We focus on building our clients' businesses, but we don't really work so much on building our own brand. So we want to kind of throw that in for and help our agency clients to get better results for make their agency's brand stronger and more prominent as well. So that means you get more clients, which guess what? You outsource that to us. You see what I'm saying? So there is a selfish motive behind that, as well as just providing a unique offer in the marketplace. So, okay, I'll stop.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it then. Just wanted to say real quick before we jump into it, if you want more training, if you like what you've seen here, maybe you've heard about the mastermind, maybe you haven't, but if you'd like to take your local SEO agency or consulting up a few notches, you can find out more about the mastermind at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. Highly encourage you to join, but first check it out, make sure it's worth it for you. But definitely a great place to be in the next step after attending Hump Day Hangouts. Cool. Bradley, let's see. Are you looking at questions?
Holy shit, we got a lot.
Looks like Fancy Mind is the first one.
Holy shit. I don't know. We're going to get through all of these. Well, maybe if I shut up and just get started. All right, let's go. Grab the screen. Oh, no, that's the end button. We don't want to do that. Almost ended the webinar. All right. So, hey guys, I'm building an online utility which will help people generate HTML sitemaps for their static sites. Would it be a good idea to place a link in the sitemap that says powered by my tool like Yoast does? This will help you. Will this help SEO, and should I nofollow it? Yeah, I mean, it certainly could, man. There's a reason why people use, like, you know, web design companies do footer links. with their their company name or a keyword that links back to their money site, to their agency site, right? Web design site, whatever, because it works. And it's funny because I talk about this with prospects often on sales calls for link building, for my link building service. It's fairly often that a prospect, so a potential client for my white label link building service will submit, because I always do a competition analysis report. So when somebody signs up or schedules a call with me as a prospect, they get redirected once they pick a time on my calendar app. They get redirected to a competition analysis form where they're asked to submit the details for one location that they manage, so that we can generate a competitive analysis report. And that's what I review with them on our sales call. The sales presentation is an hour long. I've done this dozens and dozens of times over the last several months. I mean, I literally go on autopilot now on these sales presentations. It's second nature to me. And I've got a really high closing rate, like 70%, roughly 70% closing rate. So anyways, why I'm bringing this up is because on these, oftentimes the agency or consultant, mostly agencies that get on these sales presentations, they'll submit their agency site as the location for me to analyze competitive analysis. And it's funny because that's a really good opportunity for me to show them what I'm explaining to you now specifically is like, a lot of the time these companies, like their agency won't be ranking for local SEO in their own city, and their competitors, they'll say to me on the calls, because we'll be looking at backlinks, and they'll be like, well, but my clients or the competitors, they don't have as many links as I do. And I'm always talking about topically relevant links, topical trust flow and all of that, because I use Majestic. That's all I focus on is topically relevant links. And I'll be telling them why topically relevant links matter, but then we'll go start looking at their competitors. And sometimes their competitors are crushing it in local and maps with like no links that are topically relevant at all, or links that are all trust flow 0. And they say, well, how could that be if topically relevant links are what matter? And I say, well, topically relevant links matter for organic ranking. But what matters most, and it has an influence on maps ranking, but what matters most for maps ranking are geographically relevant links. And almost every time when we start to analyze those top ranked local SEO agency sites against my prospect, we can identify very quickly that they are getting those footer links from all their local clients in the same town or city or the same geographic region. And they have these low quality links that aren't from topically relevant sources, but they're all geographically relevant because they're in the footer of their client sites their customer sites that they built websites for in the same local area. Does that make sense? So why I say all of that is because, yeah, that shit works. Like locally relevant links and something like this, if you've got a tool and you can put a link back to your site, yeah, it should help. I mean, again, it depends on, who's downloading your tool and all that kind of stuff. But there's a reason why people use those kind of site-wide like footer links, and agencies and web design companies do that. It's because it works. And it's funny to see that over and over and over again, and looking at the data and being able to prove that it sure as hell works. Okay, so yeah, I would do that for sure. Probably no follow it. I mean, you may want to test with that, but usually, I mean, no follow links still are valuable, guys. Anybody that tells you they're not, they're full of shit. They don't know what they're talking about. No follow links absolutely are still valuable, right? Question for Bradley. In the past, I remember you saying to mirror all the money site pages into the Drive stack as embedded pages to pull in content into a Google site page. Are you still doing this? Yes, I am. And if so, how are you powering up these Google site pages to pass juice to the money site? Well, I know this really good link provider that sells nothing but topically relevant links. So that's the provider I use. Topically relevant links is what I use. I don't spam any stuff, and I don't do bulk spam for anything anymore. There's one instance that I will use bulk spam, and I actually recorded a video for that this morning or earlier today. And that's if I'm doing citations, or if it's a project that citations period, traditional or non-traditional citations. Another term for that is social citations. I will do bulk spam gigs to power up, and it's not even so much for powering up as it is to help get them indexed or at least crawled. Citations are non-traditional citations. I will do bulk spam gigs to those. That's it. I don't do bulk spam to anything else. Nowhere else for link building, period. It's just ineffective. I mean, I know some people are still doing that and they still get results, but they must be doing just a massive volume of links. And I don't like doing that. I'd prefer to hit for Google sites and everything else. I'd use topically relevant links in the most appropriate topical categories that push topical relevance through the iframe of that, so the link points to the G site. It flows through the embed, the iframe down to whatever's mirrored into that page. I just updated all of the content mirroring training for POFU Live. And the mastermind members will get that next Thursday when we do the next mastermind webinar. They're not getting the whole POFU Live stuff, but they're getting the content mirroring, the updated content mirroring method training. And that is where you take, it's like the Russian dolls, right? You got the money site, and then we do YouTube, and then we do Blogger now, cloud pages, then the G site. And it's like the money site in the middle. Then we wrap that. So we embed the money site in the Blogger. We mirror the pages onto Blogger. And then we embed the money site pages into the mirrored site structure in Blogger. Then we take Blogger and we create cloud pages, and we embed Blogger pages in that. And then we create a G site, mirror the pages in the G site. So the structure is all mirrored in the G site. And then we embed the Blogger and the cloud pages into the G site. So it's like a Russian doll. It's like the biggest doll, the outside one is the G site. Then the next one is cloud page. Then the next one is Blogger. Then the next one is YouTube, Google Business, and money site. If that makes sense. And each one of those layers become link building targets. So it's incredibly powerful and it works really well. So that's, yeah, absolutely. But I use nothing but topically relevant links for that. And that's really important. Okay. Hey guys, I have a number of EMD tree related PBNs rebuilds that have topical trust flow, which isn't relevant to the top 3 trust flow categories that Bradley mentions. What would be the best way to flip these domains already high trust flow metrics from their existing ones to more relevant construction, agriculture, or gardening? Can this be achieved through more relevant content, or would it require links from other sites or rebuilds in my network that have those relevant topical trust flow metrics? Thanks, Heath. Yeah, I think Heath's going to be joining our mastermind, and we've been chatting in Facebook Messenger for the last few days about that. And I'm pretty sure he's going to come join. So welcome, Heath. I hope you do. Trust me, you will get more value than the cost of your membership. I promise you. But yes, you can manipulate that. The way that you overcome inappropriate or miscategorized topical trust flow is you have to get a domain with trust flow in the appropriate category that is higher value than the highest value link pointing to your site. In other words, let's say you have, I don't know, recreation/outdoors is the topical trust flow category of your tree service site. If you go to your backlink profile in Majestic, look at it in Majestic, because that's the only one that has topical relevance, right? That measures topical relevance. Go to Majestic, analyze your backlink profile, go to the root domain, you can look at the specific page, but if you look at the root domain, it'll show you all the backlinks pointing to the domain, no matter where they're pointing. And then all you got to do is just go look at on the backlinks page, again, looking at the backlinks pointing to the root domain, and you ought to see the most powerful links are generally going to be at the top of the list. And you can always sort by trust flow as well. And you'll find that, again, in this example, recreation/outdoors is the most powerful link. Let's say you've got a link coming from somewhere with the topical trust flow category, recreation/outdoors. And let's say that the trust flow value is like, I don't know, 23. Okay. And that's why your topical trust flow of your target asset is primarily the most prominent category is going to be in that recreation outdoors category. In order to overcome that, the best way to do it is to get like a business construction and maintenance or business agriculture and forestry or home/gardening link that is above trust flow value 23. So try to find one link, trust flow value 28, for example. Let's just use that as an example. In the home/gardening category, you have that point to your domain, and that will overcome recreation/outdoor as the most prominent topical trust flow category. That's the easiest and quickest way to do it. Just get a trust flow value higher in the appropriate category and point it to the domain. And then submit that whatever domain it is that you purchase and then rebuild or redirect or however it is that you do. And I don't recommend doing redirects to your money site. You can buffer that through cloud pages and such, but I don't recommend doing redirects direct to your money site. But however you repurpose that domain that you purchase in the appropriate topical trust flow category with a higher trust flow value than the trust flow, the highest trust flow value link that already exists pointing to your site, then once you published that domain, an article on that domain or whatever, is submitted to Majestic for indexing. Keep in mind, if you are you want to submit it for indexing, period, but you also want to submit it to Majestic for crawling. If you are hosting on Amazon S3, guys, you can't just, Majestic will not crawl sites that are hosted on Amazon S3. They will if you add them as verified domains, but they won't. Amazon has a Majestic bot blocker, which is the MJ12 bot. Amazon S3 buckets, I don't know why, but they just have a Majestic bot blocker. So the only way that it will allow, you have to add a robots. I teach this in the mastermind, by the way. You have to add a robots.txt file to the domain, to the bucket that the HTML files are hosted in, and then submit that domain as a verified domain in Majestic, which you have to have a paid account for. And then Majestic will give you an HTML file that you upload, a text file, a TXT file that you upload to that same bucket. And then once that is, then you have to click a verify button. It's almost like the same thing that you do for Search Console. As long as it can verify that that file is present on that domain, then it will verify it, and then you can submit it for crawling. Okay. And generally within 3 days, I always tell my link building clients to give it a week. I've never seen it take longer than a week for Majestic to crawl a site if I submit it for indexing, or submit for crawling. Okay. And if it's verified, I mean, right. I've never seen it take more than 7 days, but generally within 3 days, you'll see they'll crawl it. And then all of a sudden you'll manipulate all your trust flow metrics accordingly. So Majestic's pretty quick to pick stuff up if you ask it to, right? If you just let it happen naturally, sometimes it can be slow, but if you ask Majestic, you go to submit URLs and you submit the URLs that you want them to crawl, it's usually no more than 3 days. I always tell people give it a week, but I generally don't see it take more than 3 days. So there you go. That's a quick way to do that, man. You might be able to do it with lesser trust flow, but you'd have to have multiple links. It's just easier just to find one with a higher trust flow value in the appropriate category, and then it will overtake the lesser non-appropriate category, if that makes sense. Next one. Hey guys, I just read info from a self-proclaimed expert who says they have tested extensively and conclusively found that posting daily on a GMB or GBP listing pushes it into the 3-pack within a fairly short period of time. Not sure if they hinted that the content type was a factor, but they seem to be posting graphic memes with minimal text. Is this possibly legit, or are they making up BS results? I don't know without testing myself. If you want in my opinion, the foremost authority for that kind of stuff would be Mateo and the GMB Crush group. I don't know, Adam, if you're still on, if you want to drop the GMB Crush stuff, but
sure.
If you guys aren't already in the Mateo's GMB Crush Facebook group, go join it. And I would recommend that I trust Mateo and his testing, because they do a ton of testing and they share test results all the time in their Facebook group. They have the GMB Crush app, and if you pay for the app with and on an annual level, and so you buy it annual license, he will throw in his GMB Crush Money training course, which is basically their Google Business Optimization training course. And it's Mateo's a badass, man. I really like him and what they're doing over at GMB Crush. They do a ton of testing and they're always sharing their results. So I don't know about this particular method, but I know that Mateo has done a bunch of image testing and Google Business Post testing. And again, just go to Facebook, search for GMB Crush group, go join it, and just start looking at his posts, man. They do a ton of testing. And if it's good, if you like what you see over there, then come back and buy GMB Crush through our link. No, I don't care. Just buy it, whether it's through our link or not. Mateo's a good dude. I support him and what they're doing over there. So absolutely, I would encourage you to check that out. Again, I can't speak for this particular method. I haven't tested it, but that would be a really good question to go. You might even be able to find that answer in the GMB Crush group already, because I know they do a ton of testing. And if not, you could probably ask this question. And my guess is he was already tested it, or he will test it if he hasn't yet. If that makes sense. All right, next one. Hey guys, I identified an opportunity for rank and rent and waiting to approach a mid-sized statewide company to see if they are interested. I haven't built the site yet, but confident that I can do it with SM methods and gradually achieve some solid rankings for key local areas. The company doesn't do SEO, but is well branded. How would you go about approaching them to lock in a deal before committing to build out the site? Also, how do you go about presenting yourself as the solution when they may just say, we will just do SEO for ourselves instead? Yeah, so that's a good opportunity, guys, to go out and rank something prior to making the contact. Yeah, you're taking a risk that they may completely ignore any contact attempts anyways. But if you think there's that much potential there, then why not go out and rank some stuff first and then approach them with assets that are already ranking, right? Some results that you can show them. You know, there's ways to do that, but you know, YouTube still works. I've been doing a lot of testing. That's another one you could drop, Adam, is Peter Drew's Live Rank Sniper, which does scheduled live events, and it's called keyword poking. It's a way to test keywords. I started doing that a lot again lately, and part of what I taught at POFU Live, and that's part of that process, which I'm still working on the training for the POFU Live stuff. I still haven't got it all done, but I've added a lot more since our event. Anyway, Live Rank Sniper is part of that. That's how I go to test local markets. Before starting to build a bunch of assets in a particular local market, I want to test it and find out where the easiest opportunities are for ranking with little off-page work, almost entirely with on-page work. How can I, like, which areas can I rank for? And so Peter Drew's Live Rank Sniper does that very well. So that's an example. You could go rank some YouTube scheduled live events. You don't even have to produce a video. You just literally have. So I have I can't show it because I don't, not on these. In the mastermind, I do it, but on these, I don't show my assets because I get negative SEO. But I've got with Live Rank Sniper, what's really good is if you go out and either produce them yourself or go to Fiverr and buy some YouTube thumbnails. So, you know, that are colorful and bright, but attract attention. And what I do is I buy 10 packs of YouTube thumbnails whenever I'm going to test a new area. And I just use my the graphics person that does all of our YouTube thumbnails for Semantic Mastery. His name's Andre. I just hired, he does 10 packs of those for me for $20. So I pay him $20 and he does 10 YouTube thumbnails for me, and they're fabulous. They're bright, they're colorful, they stand out. And then I'll do a poke campaign with Live Rank Sniper. So I'll go test a new area. I'll have 10 thumbnails developed for you know, a brand that I'm going to be building. And now I've got a couple of brands now that I'm running with, that I'm expanding in different areas with. And so I'll set up a YouTube Live Rank Sniper campaign to test keywords plus location modifiers. So like towns within a city, like, you know, districts or boroughs within a city or suburbs, things like that. And then it just goes out and schedule live events. There's no video required. It just goes to YouTube and does a scheduled live event that will index. It indexes almost immediately. And then with a custom thumbnail, it really stands out in the search results, So then the tool will go out, and after it schedules all the live events, you can have it checked to, and what it does, it will open up the Chromium browser and just go do a keyword search for each of the keywords that you added into the campaign. And it will check the first 2 pages of Google and see, is the YouTube video indexed on the first and present on the first or second page of Google. And if it does, then it puts it into a notepad file. It's a very simple tool, and it's very simple. It does one thing and it does it really well. And it's very easy to set up. So I would recommend that you do that, because then you can start to show like ranking YouTube video thumbnail URLs, which really stand out in the search results, right? And that's one thing. But then once you've identified those areas that you can rank for, like literally doing nothing other than uploading or creating a scheduled live event with YouTube, then you can, now you know that you can rank very easily in those locations with basically zero off-page work. So that's where you might want to go in, and cloud pages are good for this, particularly right now. Well, Microsoft Azure is still ranking really well. And then DigitalOcean, I just started testing with that after Jesper did a presentation for us for POFU Live. So like DigitalOcean, hosting pages on DigitalOcean, those tend to rank fairly quickly right now. So like cloud pages are good for that. Stuff that are Google sites. Google sites are sometimes slow to index, but what I found is in these areas that I poke with YouTube videos first using Live Rank Sniper, that I can rank the YouTube videos for. Then if I go mirror or create a G site targeting those same pages. And by the way, what do you do? What we teach here at Semantic Mastery, you can create a G site. So sites.google.com, it's free. And then create pages. So create in like the home page would be optimized for the primary term, whatever, in the term plus location. But then you create pages, sub pages of the home page for each one of those locations that you targeted with the LiveRank Sniper poking campaign, that for just the ones that ranked. So you create pages on the site, the G site, optimized for that keyword plus location modifier where the video is ranked. And then you just take that LiveRank Sniper scheduled live event, and embed that. Again, there's no video there, but you can still get the embed code and embed that into the page and put a little bit of content on the page. Doesn't have to be well-tuned content, well-written content. Seriously, none of that matters. You just have to have relevant content on the page, and then send it to an indexer, right? It's important, and or better yet, submit it to Search Console so that it does get indexed even faster. So submit the G site to Search Console for indexing, and so connect it to Search Console. Go to URL inspection, try to get it inspected. And then you can also go to like an indexer like Omega Indexer is working really well right now, and submit all of the G site page URLs to Omega Indexer, for example, and get that indexed. And guess what will happen? If you were able to rank a scheduled live event with no video really, and but rank it just by scheduling it, once it gets indexed, it ranks. Now you got a G site that will index and will also rank. And now you've got 2 on page 1. And if you do cloud pages as well, you might have 3 on page 1. Does that make sense? So you can do that very quickly with, let's say you test 10 different location plus keyword modifier or keyword plus location modifiers, and you get 4 or 5 or 6 of them on page 1. Then you do what I said with cloud pages and G site, and you'll probably end up with, 4 or 5 keywords that have 2 or 3 rankings on page 1. With very little work, right? And then you take all that, you pack it, put it into a presentation or a screencast video, and then start trying to make contact with somebody at that company that you're courting, right? That you're looking to land. I've done that. I've done that for years, guys, where I will provide results. Also, press releases can do that too, but there's an expense to that, right? So you got to be careful with that. But I've done that with press releases too, where I've courted a particular contractor or company. And then I'll rank a press release, because those will rank very easily too. And then I contact them, be like, hey, go do a search for this keyword, and they'll boom. And you see what's ranked? Well, I can do that for you all the time. Let's talk. You know what I mean? So that's what I would do. Again, it does take a little bit of work and there's a little bit of risk, but if it's something that you feel that strongly about, is there's that much potential, it's worth it, in my opinion. Right? Because you only got to be successful at that one time, and you could have a really nice income coming from a company because you've proven to them that that you can get results. You don't have to go over super hard stuff, right? You would want stuff that you could rank easily up front, and then use that as an example to show that you know what you're doing. Okay. Is there the danger that they just do Yeah, maybe, but I don't. That's a what if. I don't worry about what ifs. You'll worry yourself out of ever taking action if you worry about what ifs. Just act, right? Ready, fire, aim. Just act. Okay. I said this at the top on the webinar, but I read a book called Action. I think it's Ringer. Robert Ringer is, I think, the author. The book's a little bit dry. It's not a real easy read, but it's called Action, and he talks about how Albert Einstein was talking about physics, and he says nothing happens until something moves. And that's essentially, like, I've internalized that now, but it's like, just take action. Like, don't think about all these what if scenarios and everything else. Like, just take action. People that take action get better results than people that always want conditions to be just right before taking action. You know what I mean? What is it? Imperfect action trumps perfect inaction every time. So. Okay, moving on. Confident creation. Okay. Hi, S. I'm wondering how you go about powering up your gstacks each month for clients. I just build topically relevant links now. And so we spread our link building out across, we link build to the money site and to the Google business assets, but we also, we do a lot of link building at tier 2. So we do a lot of link building to the primary branded tier 1 assets, or primary branded or primary entity assets. They're all interchangeable. They all mean the same thing. G sites is one of them. press advantage organization page, ID page, batch geo maps if it's for local, cloud pages. I don't do cloud stacks. I do cloud pages. And then I power up cloud pages with semantic links, topically relevant links. So the same thing with G sites, right? On Blogger, I've been using Blogger a lot more, branded Blogger, not third-party bloggers like, that aren't associated with the brand, but branded Blogger. So a blogger set up for the brand, publishing unique and relevant content on that, and then making that a primary tier 1 asset. That's working well right now. So that's another asset that we like to use. So yeah, again, not getting much from press releases, guys. Press releases are not good for link building. I mean, there's a reason for using press releases, and I've talked about this. I mean, almost every week now I mention this. I use press releases a very specific way, and that is to link to Google business posts and the Google Map share URL or Google review share URLs. That's it. Press releases are not really for link building. It's for exposure and for branding, it's for NAP consistency, name, address, phone number consistency, right? It's for helping to validate and strengthen an entity if done right. I don't use press releases for links. I use press releases for all the things that I just mentioned, but it's not for links. So not anymore. I used to use them for links, but I don't use press releases for links anymore. Because if you look, like 90% of the press release links that you get are going to have zero trust flow, right? And if they do have any trust flow, it's not going to be in an appropriate topical category, because the distribution points are vast multi-topic sites that cover news, which is every topic in the world. You know what I mean? So I don't build links that aren't topically relevant. I do press releases though. So that's why I said, like guys, I teach this in the mastermind, but publish a Google business post with the CTA button linking to whatever you want to promote on your money site, whatever it is that you're trying to push on your money site. Okay. So whatever page you want to promote, you link that in the CTA button of a Google business post. You summarize that page, 200 to 225 words. That's your Google business post text. The CTA button links to that page on the site. Okay. Now you wait until that post is available on the Google business website as an inner page. That can take up to 8 hours now. I don't know why, but it used to be just at most 10 minutes. Now I've seen it take as long as 8 hours for that post to appear on the Google business website. But once it does, you click into that post so that now you're looking at the inner page URL for that post as part of the Google business website. You copy that URL out of the address bar. That becomes your target URL for a press release. Your anchor text can be an exact match keyword, or what I call a target anchor. It could be a target anchor or a topic anchor if you want. You could also go with a brand anchor. But I generally will do a target or topic anchor. Target is keyword plus location modifier. Topic anchor is keyword only without location modifiers. Does that make sense? So then you hit that, and then that's the primary target URL, or one of two target URLs within the press release, is the Google business post. Then the other link, because I generally will put 2 links per press release, is going to be the Google Maps share URL or a review URL from the Google Maps profile, like the share URL. That's it. And I just every month, most of my clients are on two press releases per month. Some of my legacy clients are on 1 press release per month. But every one of my clients get at least 1 press release per month. My agency clients, my link building clients, some of them have bought the press release add-on, and sometimes I will do press releases just as part of my link building service anyway, specifically for what I just mentioned. It does help with maps, especially the way that I'm telling you how to do it is where press releases come in. Also, press releases, you always want to try to always include the brand name in the press release title. It's really important, because I just talked about it again at the top of this webinar, guys, or this Hump Day Hangouts. I talked about how branding is so critically important right now. Google is rewarding brands, strong entities, strong brands. So that's part of the, and what did I talk about? How, like, I'm seeing from setting up a alpha beta campaign in Google Ads with the beta campaign, which is the discovery campaign, it's showing me just how many people are actually searching for branded terms and brand plus reviews. And it just goes to show you. So that's why press releases are powerful, because press releases will rank for brand terms, especially if you always have the brand name in the title. It's critically important to do that. It's a branding thing. And it definitely helps maps rank when you do it the way that I just described. If you're if we're currently subscribing to your rebuilds, at what point would you use your cloud stack service? Well, you know, it's interesting because I kind of integrate that with the link building anyway. So there are times where I will build a cloud page in lieu of another link. And I charge $60 for a single cloud page. So we'll deduct $60 from the monthly link building budget for that month that we build a cloud page. So we do that when we feel it's needed, or if you request it, or you can always purchase a cloud page separately, right? That's an add-on. You can add that as an add-on or as a one-off if you want. But we do that often anyways. We'll build the cloud pages anyways. Cause like I said, guys, I don't like to build a ton of we don't always just hammer links at the money site all the time. Cause there comes a point in time where you reach the average number of backlinks of your competitors. We try not to exceed that. We only build links to the money site to manipulate anchor text ratios and topical trust flow categories. Once we get those into an appropriate range, then we shift most of our link building activities to tier 2. Because there's no need to continue hammering home on the money site, right? You can overdo it. So there's no need for that. We can achieve mostly what we need to do at tier 2 after modifying anchor text ratios in topical categories, right? And cloud stacks a big part of that. I mean, I love where I don't do cloud stacks. I do cloud pages, right? And now I do sell cloud stacks, but when I sell a cloud stack, it is a cloud page backed up by semantic links, not by additional cloud pages, if that makes sense. That's my version of a cloud stack, a cloud page that is backed up with at least 2 semantic links, like topically relevant links in the most appropriate topical trust flow category for that project. Okay. Hey guys, hope all is well. From my local organic ranking keywords, 60% of the homepage is directory sites. Yep. You mean for the first page of Google? What would be the best option to outrank them? More for local organic rank. Yeah. So geo-relevance and links, topically relevant links. Well, both topically relevant links and geographically relevant links, which is going to help you to rank better in maps too. I know you're asking about organic, but excuse me, top geographically relevant links have an influence on local organic ranking too. Not as much as it does on maps ranking, but it does have an influence on it. So, and then also adding more geo-relevance to your money site can also help that to rank better in organic. Plus maps. Again, they're all combined, guys. That's what I'm saying. So you can do some geo-relevance adding. So like, again, adding geo pages and things like that to the site where there's a link from those pages that link back to the homepage, or however you have your silo structure. If you got that, there's other ways to do that, but that can help. And then also getting links from locally relevant sources too will also help. And then topically relevant links always matter. Thing is, guys, if you go do a backlink analysis of a keyword that has a lot of directory sites showing, if you look at this specific URL and the backlinks pointing to the ranking URL, you'll see oftentimes that there's very few, sometimes 0 backlinks pointing to that page, and yet it's ranking. Why is that? Well, because those are big directory sites that have thousands and thousands of backlinks pointing to the domain somewhere, not to that particular page, but somewhere else on the site. And there are internal links from that site that are pointing to that page, directing internal link equity to that page. That's why they are ranking with 0 external backlinks, or, few, little to 0, little to none, right? So how do you compete with that? Well, you're never going to compete with that on a backlink profile level, right? Because you'd have to get thousands of links, but you don't need to. If you have topically relevant links and geographically relevant links, and you have enough geo-relevance built on within the site itself, the entity itself, it will outrank those. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes some time. But again, guys, that goes back to what I've said now multiple times today. Branding, strengthening the entity, incredibly important. If you do that, you can overcome Yelp and Home Advisor and Angie and all that shit. Branding is really, really, really important now, guys. And our friend and guest presenter at POFU Live, Michael Merlino at CTR Geeks, one of the, him and Brent over at CTR Geeks, they, what he's doing with CTR manipulation, with sending a lot of brand signals and stuff is crushing it. And I'm seeing the same thing with backlinks. Like branding is just so incredibly important right now, guys. So all of that can help. How do you find, train, and pay a VA? We have a course for that. it's a bit outdated, but the principles are still the same. That hasn't changed. We have a course called Outsource Kingpin. The idea is to set up some tests that you run candidates through. Again, I'm going to run out of time, so I'm not going to go through the whole process, but we have a course called Outsource Kingpin about that. The idea is to set up what I call a hiring funnel, which is just a sequence of simple tasks where you provide the instructions on how to execute those tasks. And you have candidates apply by saying, like, by asking them to execute those tasks as per your instructions. You don't want them winging it. You don't want them iterating. You want them following instructions. And if they deliver the end result and it wasn't exactly as you listed the instruction, you provide step-by-step instructions for how to execute whatever it is you want, setting up a blog, for example, whatever. And then they deliver that to you. And if it isn't done exactly the way that your instructions described, then they're automatically disqualified because they just proven they can't follow instructions. That's the easiest thing to do, because a lot of candidates that want to apply for the virtual assistant position that you're hiring for, they won't even go through the process of executing the task that you ask them to execute to prove that they're worthy of hiring, because they're lazy and they don't want to. I'm not working for nothing. Well, then you don't want the damn job bad enough. There will be some that will do it. And those are people that are hungry enough that they're willing to put forth a little bit of effort to prove that they're valuable, that they can follow instructions. So then those that submit whatever it is that you ask them to execute for review, like they submit it for review, if they didn't follow the instructions that you provided to a T, they're automatically disqualified, because even though they put forth the effort, they didn't follow instructions. And that means if they didn't follow instructions now, they're likely going to not follow instructions later too. So you can disqualify people that's the key to hiring, is disqualifying people as soon as possible. And so we set up, again, Outsource Kingpin. We teach how to do that. So, I mean, that's an old course, but it's the exact same process we use to hire people. Put people through a series of tasks where you provide them detailed instructions on how to execute that task. Let them deliver the work. A lot of candidates won't even execute the task because they won't do it without getting paid. Fine, they're not hungry enough. Those that will execute the task, review their work. Did they follow it to a T? If they did, now they can move on to the next stage of the hiring process, which may be an interview or a second stage of tests. I always recommend a second stage of tests. And then so you start off with 100 candidates at first, you're going to wipe out half of them with that first set of tests. Then you might get, 25, 30 of them that will actually execute a second series of tests. And out of that, you might end up with 5 or 6 candidates that have made it through, that have followed instructions. Now, those are the people that you spend time interviewing. And the ones that communicate the best are the ones that you hire. They've already proven they can follow instructions. They already proven that they're hungry enough that they went through 2 series of tests. And then now it's a matter of how well can we communicate with each other. If we communicate well, you're hired. If it's strained communication, then I'm sorry, probably not the best candidate, but I'll keep you on file in case another opening becomes available. Does that make sense? Regarding the POFU training that Ryan K did, is there any software that builds Google Sheets? Yes. We're going to be actually talking about that sometime this month in October. We're going to be doing a promotion, but there are some softwares that will do that. I'm not going to share it just yet. I don't even know if you can purchase it separately, but we're going to be talking, like, I don't know if it's in the next 2 weeks. Sometime this month, we're doing a webinar about the tool that I know Brian uses, one of several tools that he uses. See, if you're in the mastermind, whoever this is, just ask in there and I'll tell you. Okay. We will be doing a promotion with them later this month. How do you recommend locating keywords that are focused on buyer intent rather than informational? Recommended tool or website example would be tree trimmer near me rather than how to trim your tree. Yeah, well, the way I look at it is, especially with a question like that, is, does it pop a maps pack? If it does, if a keyword pops a map pack, it's a keyword with local intent, commercial intent, transactional intent. Like in the example that you're talking about, like tree trimmer near me, that's going to pop a maps pack. How to trim your trees is not, or it's likely not. So yeah, so there's Lloyd Farrell has a tool called 3-Pack Hunter. That is a very simple tool that's all it does is you can add a whole list of keywords to it. and it will just, all it does is goes to Google and searches and determines, does it pop a maps pack? And if it does, it puts a value in the sheet. It's $27.99 one-time price. 3-pack hunter right there, .com, 3packhunter.com. That's a good way to test keywords, local keywords anyway. Also, SEMrush does have in their keyword magic tool, they have tags for informational, commercial, and transactional keywords. So if you use SEMrush, there's indications there. It's not 100% accurate all the time, but it's pretty close. Mylar Marketing. Wow, that's yeah, we were supposed to have a damn call today. Michael, right? What's up, man? We were supposed to have a call today. You were a no-show. Anyway, which is better to have the Yoast plugin or the premium SEO plugin from SEO Ultimate Pro? I don't use SEO Ultimate Pro anymore. I don't know that he's even supporting that anymore. It was a great plugin for a while, but I don't know that Jeffrey Smith is still supporting that. The one that I just started testing with, I've only got it on one site right now, so I don't have a lot of experience with it yet. It's SEO Press. This is the one that I just bought I bought the Pro plugin. They have a free version too, but I bought the Pro version and I've only got it on one site, but I really like a lot of the features of this. This is called SEO Press. So check that one out. Hi, regarding adding schema manually to a Wix website, can you advise, please? We're almost out of time, guys. Can you advise, please, because the project supremacy tool to create schema manually doesn't actually have the types of business that I want to add to the schema. Please, can you guide me to even a schema creator you or yourself would recommend? Yeah, I mean, if you're just looking for, if you don't do it, like a lot of schema for like, agency clients, and if you don't do a lot of stuff, then you could just use like the Merkle tool, I think it's called. Let me just show you what I mean. Let's see, structured data. I think it's this one. Yeah, Merkle, right. So technicalseo.com. They have a schema generator, technicalseo.com. And right here, you could use this and you'll see there's these different types here. And so this is a good one because it's free and it will generate some pretty decent schema. So this is one you can do, and the output file's right here. So you fill in the fields here, and here's the output. You just copy that, and then you put that in the header of the site. It doesn't have to be the header, but generally that's where it goes, right? If you're going to do a lot of schema stuff, like for clients and stuff, I'm still using this. I swore I was going to get away from this, but I still use it. Schemaapp.com. It's a bit expensive, but if you're doing a lot of stuff, this is kind of a handy tool. I pay for it. I've been paying for this for 2 or 3 years now. So schemaapp.com. Again, it's expensive. And I think you actually have to get on a sales call now. I don't think they have their pricing anymore. I think they force a sales call, which sucks. I don't like that, but I still use this. So, okay, I'll go through a couple more, guys, and I got to wrap it up. Brave one. Right now, I have my agency's GBP ranking on the first page for some good keywords, not in the 3-pack yet, but at positions 4, 5, and 6 in the city we're located. I want to do some things to help my GBP rank in some other nearby cities for these same keywords. Any suggestions on how I might go about this? I'm starting to build individual pages on my website for these specific keywords plus nearby cities. That's the first step, geo pages. So that's the right move. But I'm uncertain on how to proceed to get my GBP to benefit from these efforts and start ranking in the search results for these same city keywords plus nearby cities. Again, I talked about this earlier when somebody was asking about press releases. Publish Google business posts that are summarizing those geo pages, right? With the CTA button linking to those geo pages, like to the corresponding geo page. And now you've got the Google business post that you can use as a link building target. Right? You can mirror that structure into a G site, a blogger site. You mirror that same structure, right? You mirror your main site structure into a blogger blog, a branded blogger blog. And then you embed the Google business post into that corresponding mirrored page on the blogger site. And you can embed the money site page into that too. Then you can do the same thing with the G site. And then now you can embed the blogger pages into the mirrored G site pages. And now there's that Russian doll effect again. And you've got, that's called the content mirroring method, guys. I just completely updated that training for POFU Live. The mastermind members, if you're in our mastermind, you will get that next Thursday. I'm releasing that into the mastermind. So if you want to learn how to do that, come join the mastermind and you will get it. Okay. Very, very powerful, because each one of those containers, the layers in that mirrored structure, become link building targets. You can start to push massive amounts of geo relevance back to the Google business profile that way so that you can start to expand proximity and maps, right? Very, very powerful. There you go. I think we're almost done, guys. Excited System. I'm buying GHL through your affiliate link, Bradley. Is it true that I will get a 30-minute bonus Zoom call with you to pick your brain on go high level questions from an SEO trust point of view? This is James. Oh, it's James from in our mastermind. Yes, James, for you, absolutely, man. Yes, I will absolutely jump on a call with you if you want for just some go high level tips and tricks. Yes, you can schedule a one-on-one call with me anytime, James. No problem at all. James is a mastermind member, and yes, I will absolutely do that for you, James. Last question, Dramatic Civilian. Are there any tips on getting cloud pages indexed? Traffic signals will do it, but then also, like I said, guys, right now, Index Me Now is still working for me. That's really expensive, but Index Me Now, I'm still working for cloud pages. Again, very expensive, but also what's working really, really well right now, that's going to take me into my account, so I don't want to do that, is Omega Indexer, which is only as long as it's still available, because they said they were going to shut it down. As long as it's still available, it's $20 a month right now. Let me back up. And you get, I think, 1,000 indexing credits per month for $20. It's very inexpensive. Right there. $20 a month, you get 1,000 link credits per month. And it's working really well right now. Like really well. So I'm using Omega Indexer. I also use speed-links.net. This one, oops, not, sorry. I'm almost done, guys. Speed-links.net, but go with the VIP plans if you're going to do that for cloud pages. And then I also, like I said, use Index Me Now, which is stupid expensive. But those are the 3 indexers I use right now. And in traffic signals, if you're having trouble getting a page to index, then if you run some direct traffic to that page, that can help it, right? Or even better yet, referral traffic. So link to the cloud page from another source that is indexed. So you build a link on a page that is already indexed. It could be a social profile, whatever, that links to your cloud page, and then run referral traffic through that link to that page. And that can help with the index too. Okay. Are we good?
Good to go.
Sayonara, motherfuckers. I'm out. I'm going.